You are now listening to Wave A Sound.
Welcome to Versus Mike History, the #1 platform for empowering black creatives. I'm your host, Michael History. In episode 92, we discuss United Masters partnering up with Coinbase, Elon Musk buying Twitter, Stripe enabling crypto payouts, and more. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you choose to listen. And for exclusive access to Versus Mike History content, join one of our members-only subscription tiers on Patreon.
So I want to build a school. It meant a lot to me. It meant a chance to learn more, to improve myself, and also teach kids.
Music school.
Yeah.
You're certainly one of the top men in the field. Do you think you could teach somebody something?
Like right now? Oh, I'm learning. I'm learning something to teach them now. About the country, that's for sure.
But one could make a real contribution to jazz.
Who could?
You could.
I don't know.
I mean, as a teacher rather than as a straight musician.
That's what I wanted to do. I felt that it needed to at least be passed on. Max Roach, I had Buddy Collette, I had some great guys to teach me.
You don't know where you're going from here then, Charlie, huh?
Peace, family. We are back again for another episode of Versus Mike History, episode 92. Closer and closer to episode 100. I don't know. I'm just a little nervous about it. I don't know. But nevertheless, we are here. I'm in good spirits. I feel well. And I got some news for you guys. It's gonna be May. It surely is. Mother's Day is around the corner. My mother's birthday is around the corner. And, May is just a nice month because that's when we finally start to get that real transition into like that first feeling of like how the summer, that first taste. Like we be getting teasers, but like when May comes around, that's when you get them first full weeks of like, oh, this is how it's going to be. But because I'm over here on the East Coast, so I do not have permanent good weather. Shout out to everybody that's listening everywhere else. I feel like I don't really shout you guys out enough, but shout out to everybody on the West Coast that listens. Shout out to everybody in the South that's listening. You guys are awesome, and thank you for taking this ride with me. If you're a first time listener, welcome. How you doing? And yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I hope everybody's staying safe, pandemic and all. That's kind of on the way out, but cases are still popping up everywhere. So, you got to do your due diligence. A lot of mask mandates are being lifted, but don't be nasty. We have had to do a lot of things over this pandemic, and some of them should not be temporary. I won't go too deep into my theories and opinions and stuff like that, but nevertheless, don't be nasty. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and get into the episode. All right, so as always, we got to lead with love. And finally, think I'm starting to get a hang of what I want this segment to be actualized. I don't know if I said that right, but yeah. So what the idea that I came up with for this week's episode is that I'm going to read tweets about things that people love and, just read off what the algorithm shows me. So I got a couple tweets. I got one inspired by her. I love denying people access to me. Baby, I am a privilege, not an option. I like that one. Here goes another one from Bougie Bad. I love everything about being a good person, in and out. That's why God keeps blessing and favoring me. I like that one a lot. This one's from Lauren Jajergui. Sorry, I messed that up. Happiness, peace, prosperity, energy. I love you. I like that one too. And this one's from Skizzy Mars. Before I leave the house, I gotta tell her that I love her, and I love that for him. So yeah, you always gotta lead with love, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into the episode now. We got some good topics. All right, I got some news from The Guardian. Prosecutor drops all charges against Pamela Moses, jailed over voting error. Moses, convicted last year, was granted new trial in February after Guardian revealed files that had not been given to her defense. A Memphis prosecutor has dropped all criminal charges against Pamela Moses, the Memphis woman who was sentenced to 6 years in prison for trying to register to vote. Moses was convicted last year and sentenced in January. She was granted a new trial in February after The Guardian published a document showing that had not been given to her defense ahead of the trial. I think that was written poorly. Moses was set to appear in court on Monday to find out whether prosecutors would pursue a retrial. It's insane that we live in a country where somebody can be sent to prison for 6 years for trying to register to vote. Especially when politicians consistently try to get you to vote. The country is rigged for us, but it is what it is. And, I'm just glad that this woman was able to, get her freedom back and, re-enter society, because that was a very, very great error on someone's part that had nothing to do with her. So, it is what it is. All right, moving on. Steve Stout's United Masters becomes exclusive partner for Coinbase's NFT marketplace. And I'm getting this from Afrotech, so bear with me. United Masters isn't letting up or ensuring that independent artists secure their coins. In October 2021, the Steve Stout founded music distributor forged a partnership with Coinbase to be one of the first to offer artists to be paid in cryptocurrency, as previously reported by Afrotech. The duo is back once again for a new collaboration, except this time with another project on board. According to a press release shared with Afrotech, United Masters has announced its partnership with Coinbase and Chain Runners for NFTs created, sold, and promoted by the company's artists. The limited edition collections will market United Masters as an exclusive partner for Coinbase's new NFT marketplace. In the same way that United Masters gives power to artists by enabling ownership of their music, NFTs give people true ownership of their digital assets, said Chain Runners, according to the press release. This partnership is representative of a new wave of ways for artists to express themselves and engage with an audience on their terms. These artists and our collective communities are the renegades of the internet, pushing culture forward. I think this is awesome news. First and foremost, I'm a big fan of Steve Stout, just for all the pioneering moves that he's made in the music industry. And United Masters has been one of the most recent and most major ones. And the partnerships that he's created within his organization, specifically with Coinbase, to get artists to get paid in cryptocurrency, and now this new NFT marketplace partnership is crazy, and this is all from the mind of a black man. And I think that it's powerful that we recognize that there's a black man at the forefront of trying to get artists paid independently and fairly. All right, and now for a bit of home state news. It's official. NJ legal weed sales can begin April 21st, state says, and I'm getting this from NJ.com, so bear with me. The State Cannabis Regulatory Commission said it will issue licenses to 7 medical marijuana dispensaries, officially known as alternative treatment centers, to also sell recreational marijuana beginning on April 21st. The 7 treatment centers are now cleared to sell adult use cannabis at 13 locations across the state. It is now up to them to decide when they will open. So it is a new day in New Jersey. I can't say I didn't foresee this coming, because medical marijuana has been around for so long, but it's surprising to see how long it's taken between, medical marijuana being legalized and recreational. But we are here. I haven't gotten the time to get around to getting to one of these dispensaries yet, But when I do, I'm going to record some content and I'm going to put it on YouTube. And if you subscribe to Members Only Plus, then you'll get it early. So there's that. But yeah, this is all great news. Shout out to New Jersey. All right, moving on. Twitter nears deal to sell itself to Elon Musk. And I'm getting this from New York Times, so bear with me. Twitter is nearing a deal to sell itself to Elon Musk. Two people with knowledge of the situation said, a move that will unite the world's richest man with the influential social network service. An agreement could be announced as soon as Monday, the people said. Twitter's board was negotiating with Mr. Musk to the early hours of Monday over his unsolicited bid to buy the company after he began lining up $46.5 billion in financing for the offer last week, said the people, who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the confidential information. The two sides were discussing details, including a timeline to close any potential deal and any fees that will be paid. An agreement were signed and then fell apart, they said. So, all in all, Elon Musk is buying Twitter. And, I think that based off of why he's buying it, which is to improve the user interface, to improve a lot of the issues that the app currently has that no one has done anything about, versus why people think he's buying it, which is, to reinstate free speech and, get wild takes off that some people may not agree with. But all in all, this is a business decision. Nobody spends $46 billion as a joke to play around with. And, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you're not spending that amount of money to not make improvements wherever you are putting your money towards. So all in all, I don't see why we wouldn't, see this as a positive. We know Elon Musk's track record with companies, i.e. PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter will just be the next one in line to integrate with humanity a little bit easier, under the ownership and leadership of Elon Musk. And I'm not the biggest fan of him, but it's kind of undeniable to see what he's done with technology in our lifetime, even in the past 20 years even. So, I just have faith that he'll bring some type of improvement. All right, and we got some more tech news with payment company Stripe enables crypto payouts in USDC. And I'm getting this from Blockworks, so bear with me. Payments company Stripe is now enabling crypto payments in USD Coin, USDC. Twitter creators will be the first to use the service. The process for fans and customers to pay creators, freelancers, sellers, and solopreneurs can be difficult, especially outside of major markets, Stripe product manager Karen Sharma said in a Friday blog post. While the store of value aspects of cryptocurrencies typically receive the most attention, we view the prospect of open access global financial rails as being at least equally compelling, Sharma wrote. The crypto payouts will be added to Connect, the payouts platform Stripe created in 2015. Businesses currently use Connect to programmatically send payouts to roughly 70 countries in local currencies. You know why I reported this? Because I think it's great news. I think it's awesome that, more companies are warming up to cryptocurrency, even if it's USDC. But that can easily be transferred into, a more popular coin such as Ethereum or Bitcoin. But like I said, this is all great news. This is leading towards the future that, many have foreseen ahead of us. And, that's why I want and I advocate for people to, do their research on cryptocurrency and get to investing, man, because, the future is right around the corner. It seems like it's far away, but it's right there. So, yeah. All right, that's going to be it on news. I'm going to go ahead and move on to new music, and we got new albums from a bunch of new artists. So we got a new album from Blxst, The name of that album is Before You Go. We get an album from Pusha T. It's Almost Dry. That has production from Kanye and Pharrell. So, you can imagine how it sounds. Coke Raps. Can imagine how that went. Went pretty well. Ye Ali has an album out. Taylor Bennett has an album out as well. And YG Tech has an album out. I did not write down the names of these albums, so I apologize for that. But Kendrick Lamar is also coming. He has an album releasing entitled Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and that releases on May 5th. So, no big deal. Whatever. In terms of singles, though, we got new music from Daniel Caesar. There's a record out with Tay Keith, Gunna, and Lil Durk. Southside Future and Travis have a single out as well. PJ Morton, Stevie Wonder, and Nas have a single out. No Cap and Kodak, they got a new single out. Meg has the record that she teased at Coachella out. That is called Plan B. And Westside Boogie and Drum have a single out as well. And Future released the artwork and title of his next project, which will be releasing this Friday, and it is entitled I Never Liked You. So, I feel like we can expect some fire, to be perfectly honest. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got on for music. I didn't record any name titles, but based off of who I named, you guys can go check out all that music. So yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into TV trailers and movies. So I want to start with the Snowfall finale, because the Snowfall finale was pretty awesome. It was pretty great. I won't, ruin anything for anybody, even though by the time this comes out, you should have seen it. But Franklin is down bad, he's pretty down bad. And I think that he's been pushed into a corner. He's been pushed into a position where he has nothing left to do but what he ends up choosing to do in the finale. And I also think that a lot is converging into this final season that we're going to get next year. But all in all, I think that this was probably the weakest season of Snowfall. And the fact that it was still better than a lot of shows on television says a lot. All in all, I just hope for a great final season. And I think that the way that the stories have converged, they will redeem themselves with the final amazing season. Moving on to Moon Knight. Moon Knight episode 4 was released this past Wednesday, and I think that this series is really good. One of the main things that I really looked for going into this show was the Kang Easter eggs, because we all know that Kang is the big bad leading up to whatever Marvel is leading up to, but we haven't really gotten a lot of Easter eggs, not a lot of tangible ones. And I think that especially in this past episode, I won't give any spoilers, but we got a major Easter egg for like his presence within the Marvel universe, and his him just being there historically. But I do like what this season, what this show is doing, with the multiple personalities, and hinting to a third one that we haven't seen yet, and everything has just been done really well. And I'm a really big fan of Oscar Isaac, so I think that he can do no wrong in my eyes, pretty much. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Moon Knight. What else do I have? I've been hearing a lot of stuff on social media about people having issues with Winning Time, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I forget who else, but yeah, these guys are having issues with Winning Time. But all in all, from people who've watched the show, and people who, fans and critics alike love it. They think it's amazing. And, I don't want to deter you guys, but I think it's been interesting that these guys are like, oh, this is not a true depiction and things and that. And da, 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 da. It's not about, accuracy. It's more so about telling a story in a way that viewers will be entertained by. And it's doing that magnificently. So I just wanted to mention that because I haven't started the show, actually, myself. And then I wrote here that all the black shows are done. So I don't know what to watch, and I'm not somebody that just watches black shows, quote unquote black shows, but I do keep up with a lot of them. And now that they're ending, I don't have a lot of other shows that I keep up with. So I would love some suggestions, anything would be great at this point. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Doctor Strange is coming out very, very, very soon. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I'm very excited to see what happens in this movie. I still have not gotten a chance to see Everything Everywhere All at Once. I told myself I was going to go see it last week, but I'm going to try to push myself to see it this week. It's just, I love the movies. It's just life, man. Life. What else? The Northman is out. I need to go see that. So maybe I'll take a Saturday morning and do a double feature. Who knows? And what else? I think that's pretty much it for TV, movies, and trailers. CinemaCon is coming up. I don't have any type of tickets, but I'll be looking towards the people that I will follow to see what they say about it, because they'll be there. And yeah, that's all I got. So, as always, send topics, questions, music, and movie suggestions to info@versusmikehistory.com. You can follow the podcast on Twitter @VSMikeHistory. You can follow the podcast on Fanbase and Instagram @VersusMikeHistory, and get members-only content from Versus Mike History at patreon.com/VersusMikeHistory. And this week's sound selection comes from Blxst featuring Rick Ross, and it is entitled Couldn't Wait For It. And I will see you beautiful black people at the next episode.